insurance amounts. They look good. I just am curious how you came up with that. That was not in the Code of Iowa. I'm just curious how we arrived at those numbers. I think they look good. I'm just curious the source.
Well, it was kind of a combination of what existed in our existing code.
Okay.
And then taking some language that was in the new statute specifically regarding the per occurrence and aggregate limits, because that does follow up.
Oh, okay. I looked, I could not find it, so I missed it. Okay, so we're good to go with the Iowa code then on those limits. Okay.
And so when someone comes in and files for a display, they have to have that proof of the insurance with the application?
Correct.
Okay.
If you could just briefly explain the different classes of fireworks. There's, in my understanding, there's only 2 now. What happened to sparklers and snakes? There's a third category.
Yeah,
correct?
so there's really kind of 3 different categories. There's the first class, consumer fireworks. Those are really your aerial and explosive, like firecrackers. Second class fireworks are kind of round displays, so they may be sprinkler showers or spinners. And then you have what's called a novelty class fireworks, and that's your sparklers, snakes,
And that has
smoke
not
bombs.
changed in the state of Iowa by state of Iowa code.
I think they've defined them a little differently, but it's the same class you were used to in the past.
I was just concerned that those would be lost to the,
Yeah, those would still be allowed under this ordinance.
I think our idea was to keep the use statute the same yet for 1 more year. Okay.
I think it's just a little too early to react to this. It was thrust upon us a little quicker than what it can be considered, so I think we need to opt on the side of safety. And I think public reaction has been more in favor of not using them within the city limits at this time.
I've had a number of people talk to me about wanting the ability to have the sales in town, but not necessarily the use.
Exactly, and I don't think I don't want total restriction of sales at this time either. That's not. I guess for me, the exploding things concern me. Anything that flies out of your own property, away from your own property, that's the ones that concern me the most. So, but I feel comfortable, at least for this year.
I had to agree some time to do some due diligence and really make sure we do this right for the citizens of Carroll would be appropriate.
I did have, actually Mike did, and then Phil talked to me about it later. The concern I had about insurance, house insurance, is not an issue with these now, so. Your insurance rates wouldn't go up if we allowed it, so. It's just if there was an accident, then they may consider raising them, so. Any other questions? If not, I'll look for a motion to consider approving the first reading of the ordinance and waiving the second and third readings for the use of the fireworks.
We need to do that too.
Well, first
We
you waive the
We
first
gotta-
3 readings, or however many readings they want to do.
Got to waive the first, second, and third, and then,
It's separate, yeah, we'll do one ordinance and
Ordinance.
then the second ordinance, so
Right.
there'll be 2 separate things.
right, the use and the sales.
Yeah.
Correct. That's why I said use at the end, for the use. So I need a motion to approve the first reading and waive the second and third reading for the use of fireworks.
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Fleshner?
Yes.
Cots?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Base? Yes. Seaman?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Motion is approved
And I need a motion
to adopt.
to
this
adopt the
this
ordinance, the use ordinance, and then we'll do the sales next. Okay.
Motion to adopt?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Base?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Cots?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Now, the second one, the second issue that we will, with regards to this ordinance, is the sales of the fireworks. Anybody have any questions with regards to the sales? Not seeing any. I'll need a motion to approve the first reading and consider waiving the second and third reading for the issuing of transient merchants permits for the use, for the sales of fireworks.
So moved?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Seaman?
Yes.
Base?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Cots?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
And then I need a motion to adopt the said ordinance.
So moved?
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Seaman?
Yes.
Base?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Cots?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. Our second ordinance this evening is with regards to the floodplain regulation amendment. And Randy, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Federal Emergency Management Agency and the DNR have reevaluated the flood hazards within the city and reissued new flood insurance rate maps and flood insurance study. This is the first time that the flood insurance rate maps and study are part of a county-wide flood insurance study. The entities, the FEMA and DNR, had set up the mandatory review and appeal period and did receive some comment and acted upon those, and now that appeal period has ended, and the flood insurance rate maps and flood insurance study are targeted to be effective September 15th of 2017. As a condition for the city to continue to participate in the federal flood insurance program, you would need to update your ordinance and adopt the new flood insurance rate maps. We prepared the ordinance in conformance with the current standards for flood insurance, the flood insurance program, and of course the rate maps have been published and will be effective September 15th. I've included that proposed ordinance change in the information that was forwarded to you. Briefly, it includes the addition of a few definitions that were required by FEMA, the adoption of the flood insurance rate map panels, modification of some of the general floodplain provisions relating to residential accessory structures. FEMA had reviewed the Iowa DNR's model ordinance and made recommendations for a few changes in the residential accessory structure part of it. So those are incorporated into the city's ordinance, which was originally a DNR model ordinance. And then the addition of penalties for violation of the code. So I would be happy to try to answer any questions on the flood insurance study. If not, I recommend adoption of the ordinance, making the changes to the city's code and continued participation in the flood insurance program.
Randy, one quick question. We have a FEMA floodplains map in our city comprehensive plan.
Okay.
Is that map now obsolete, or is it,
Mhm.
it's obsolete? Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's the map. Yeah, that map was probably placed there directly from the current flood insurance rate map of the city. And that will now, as of September 15th, be replaced by the new flood insurance rate maps.
Okay, thank you.
So there are homes that will be coming that would no longer be required to have flood insurance?
I guess I can kind of answer that question. First of all, the new maps are converted directly from the old map on the Middle Raccoon River. So the floodplain of the Middle Raccoon River does not change at all between maps. So no impact, no other impact to housing or property in that conversion. There are two other locations that flood hazards have been determined. One is the Drain 77 that goes along the easterly or mid-easterly, easterly side of the city through Grand Park. There are, that has changed from the current flood insurance rate map to the new proposed rate map. And there have been identified about 47 properties that were in the former flood hazard that will no longer be in the flood hazard area. The third location in the city is, it's an unnamed creek south of Pleasant Ridge Road that runs between Deer Creek Lane and Timber Creek Drive. You can call it whatever you want, but it's really unnamed. That was never mapped in the flood insurance study before. In the current flood insurance study, the flood hazard was not mapped for that location. It is included in the new flood insurance rate map as a mapped flood hazard identified area. There are some properties in that are in the flood hazard area that abut that drainage ditch or unnamed tributary, I guess. So there's some that are, some that aren't. Now, as far as trying to fully answer your question, we can't say as a city whether a property would require insurance or not. We can say by reading the map whether it's in or adjacent to the flood hazard area. The insurance requirement is actually that of the insurance companies. They will need to interpret the map, decide if insurance is required, and if so, then this map provides those insurance rates or flood hazard areas for them.
And you, just to specify, it's the mortgage company that makes that determination.
Yes. Yes.
So we won't be notifying anybody. That'll be left up to either the homeowner's insurance policy or the homeowner's mortgage company.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions for Randy? If not, I'll need a motion to approve the ordinance amending floodplain regulations.
Actually, could we do first
Readings?
the readings? Yes.
Oh. You want to waive motion to approve the first reading?
Do you want to do all three?
Or you want to waive all
Let's
three?
waive them,
You
yeah.
want to waive all of them?
Yeah.
Motion to approve the first reading and waive the second and third for the approval of the ordinance amending floodplain regulations.
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Fleshner?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Cots?
Yes.
Base? Yes. Seaman?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Need a motion to approve the ordinance?
So moved.
Second?
Adopt the ordinance, I'm sorry.
So
To
moved.
adopt. Got a motion and a second. Seaman?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Cots?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Base? Yes. Motion is approved.
Thank you. Our third item on the agenda is the residential solid waste hauling agreement and amendments to the city code related to solid waste regulation and fees. And Mike.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The current residential solid waste hauling agreement started on July 1st of 2009 and is set to expire at the end of this month. The mayor, council member, base, and staff met with the two refuge haulers, and the attached contract amendments represents the result of those negotiations. The changes between the current and proposed agreement are as follows. It increases the monthly pickup fee paid to the hauler by the city from the current rate of $11.93 to $12.68 as of July 1st, 2017. It's an increase of 75 cents. To $13.18 as of July 1, 2021, an increase of 50 cents. And to $13.93 as of July 1, 2023, which is an increase of 75 cents. Over to the life of the contract, which is an 8-year contract that's proposed, this represents approximately a 2% annual increase throughout the life of the contract. In addition to those noted rates, it should be noted that residents will also pay a 65-cent administrative fee to the city to cover the city overhead for billing and mailing of bills for the trash service. Additionally, the current landfill tipping fee is $43 per ton. The agreement provides a 7-cent increase per dollar of increase of landfill tipping fees when the rate rises over $46 per ton. Additionally, as by February 1st of 2018, Raise Refuge will also be moving to the automated solid waste collection system that is similar to what Carroll Refuge currently uses. Trash carts will be provided to all residential properties at no cost to the city or residents, and residents will have a choice to select between a 35, 65, and 96-gallon trash cart for that service. In addition to the agreement, the council is asked to consider approval of the attached ordinance. It will implement the fees as outlined with the 65-cent monthly administrative fee, and makes also some small changes in reference to the new trash carts that will be provided. Since the new rates are going into effect on July 1st, staff asks that the council consider waiving the second and third readings this evening in the ordinance in order for the new fees to be reflected on the water utility bills that will be mailed out in late June for service in July of this year. So our recommendation is to approve the agreement and ordinance as presented. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the council has.
I have one.
Yes,
What is the current administration fee right now?
65 cents.
Okay, so there's no raise in that.
No change in that at this point.
Okay?
Mike, on the choice that the resident has, whether it's 35, 65, or 96 gallon, I'm assuming the rate is still the same no matter which size somebody takes?
Correct. And some people may choose, like if you're an elderly person, you may want a smaller cart just for ease of mobility. It's really up to the resident to choose what they want.
Do you know for sure how that's going to happen, how that's going to be communicated to the hauler? I'm assuming that they'll have to contact each resident and get
Yep,
feedback.
they'll make contact with the residents about what size they want, and then some of it they'll base on how much trash a resident's putting out. But certainly, once they get a cart, if they want a different size, they can work with the hauler to get that at different size.
So those are the property of the haulers,
Correct.
and they are responsible when they blow away
Correct.
and that sort of thing to get the homeowner or the citizen a replacement.
Correct.
Could we look at the insurance section just quickly? Our 8-year contract is ending, and I have a question about, under haulers insurance, section 7. We have limits in there for the, well, there are 3 types of insurance enumerated, but looking at B in the limits, for everybody's read it, for the above, 500,000, million, 200,000. Are these the old limits from the previous contract? They seem really low, especially after reading what we did with the fireworks limits on the insurance. Are these being carried over from the previous contract, which is 8 years old?
Yeah. I mean, they are carryover limits from the old contract.
I think they should be higher. I really do. Costs have gone up over those 8 years. I don't know what the industry standard is, but these seem very low in case there is a personal injury or whatever. I guess I have a 3-part question, so I wanted us to reconsider those amounts. Also, E, failure to provide proof of insurance will be considered a failure to perform. Do these haulers have to show each year? How often do they have to show that they are carrying the insurance, whatever the limits end up?
Each year.
Each year, who's responsible for checking?
I do.
You do?
Yep, they
So
send it to us,
is
yes.
there a date each year that you need that, Laura? I know there's a date in here for giving their schedule, but is there a date that they must provide you that information for the 3 types of care, A through C?
We have not like set a hard date, but every year we do get something. I'm sure they're working with their insurance company, that their insurance company knows. They automatically send it to us when it's their renewal.
Yeah, yeah.
But no, we don't necessarily have it written, as you see in here, that there's a specific date we need it by. But we
Okay.
do have one for every year.
Okay. I think it might be good to have a date so that it's there, so you know when to expect. The reason I'm asking, in a town, in a contiguous county, by just sheer accident, the hauler forgot, just let their workman's comp lapse, and the city was sued. And so I think having some structure, and also these limits are so low, they're based on a 8-year-old contract. I really think we need to up those or consider it. I think $1 million, $2 million, something like that, considering costs have gone up quite a bit for what we're covering here, especially personal injury cases. I don't know, it's an idea. I don't know if anybody else thought of this, or if you think I'm wrong, fine, but it concerns me that these limits are so low. Or David, do you know anything based on your experience with cities?
Yeah, I wouldn't know a standard,
Okay,
coverage, the amount of coverage.
sure.
Obviously, if the council wants to still approve the agreement tonight, you can do that with an amended coverage amount, if you want to change the coverage to $1 million, $2 million, instead of $500 million.
I don't know what would be right, wrong, or indifferent, but I would also be curious, and it would cause for assumption, so I'd like to know this too, is perhaps they have some form of an umbrella that works over top of that, so if they have an individual auto or personal liability injury that occurs,
Yeah.
then they may have some additional coverage in place to that to cover themselves as well.
I think that's a good idea.
They probably have that if they,
I don't,
but assumption.
I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there. It's 8 years old, it's not working anymore. I really don't think these amounts. So we could approve it, but then go back and maybe have Mike or somebody do some checking and then amend this at a, or what do you
Well,
think,
yeah,
Dave?
if you're uncertain as to the amount to plug in tonight, I think you still could approve it, subject to the filling in or completion of those amounts.
But we would
Or you
have
could just
to,
set the amount and say, hey, we'll approve this subject to the change.
But it won't be in effect, because
this goes into
they haven't
effect.
signed it. They haven't signed an amended contract, so.
They haven't even signed a
They
contract.
haven't
I
this
mean,
way.
we just have verbal agreement on it.
Okay.
Yeah, they haven't signed it, so.
But it goes into effect July 1, right?
Yeah.
Soon.
It-
The idea
You know-
being so that it gets out, so people know what's
Right,
coming.
right. So they
Right.
get in the water bills,
Right.
right. Yeah.
Another thing I just throw out there, I think the more critical point tonight is if everyone is okay with the fees, we could proceed with the ordinance.
Oh, yeah.
Now, it's kind of backwards to, but I think everyone's in agreement with I mean, if everyone's okay with the fee schedule, we could follow back up by next meeting with an amended contract. We have time for that component.
That would be a good,
Because the
Approach.
insurance is in their agreement, not in the ordinance.
right,
Laura,
right.
Do you know what they have for insurance now? I mean, maybe they've seen this themselves and they actually have more in effect than what we require. Do you have any idea?
I don't know. off the
That'd be a
top of
good
my
thing
head.
to find
I'd
out
have
if
to-
they-
Yeah, I
you
can
know.
pull the file if it has all those.
I would think
I
the
have more
insurance
than that,
company
I
would,
think.
I think their insurance company would be telling them,
That's what I'm thinking,
Yes,
that they
I
wouldn't
know.
even write a policy.
when all of a sudden I've got 2 kids under 18 driving cars, I get a letter that says, well, your rates are going up. You know,
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden you've got some more liability. I know for my business, for mine, I have to carry an umbrella of 1 to 2 million. So I mean, those numbers aren't too far
1
off.
to 2,
No, it's
yeah,
more than-
looking
well,
at what
mine
we
is-
did with the fireworks and so on, and this is even very serious when you're mechanical, the
Instead of
mechanics,
500,000, 1 million,
hydraulics.
a million and 2 million, actually.
I know, I just threw it out there.
Do we,
I do agree that Carroll's idea should be looked into.
I do too.
Thank you, Vern. Yep, gotcha.
do we anticipate that there could possibly be a change to what they're asking for a fee schedule then if we, because their expenses will go up as well, if they'll pass that through to us or not?
They
And
may
and I'm
come
not saying
back-
that's not a reason to do it.
There's a reasonable chance they'll come back and have higher coverage rates than what's listed in here already yet. We don't know what they have. We just have our minimums.
We have our
set in.
minimum, but we don't
Right.
know what they have.
But I guess one of my concerns would be is approving the contract tonight of the fee schedule. And if that does come back as higher rates, then we're kind of at a starting block anyway, whereas would it be best to table it, put that out, and then bring back just the whole ordinance once it's all in place?
Laura, how's that gonna affect you?
Well, if we have to have, or if the new rate would go into effect for July service, we typically print bills around the 24th, 23rd, 24th of the month, and our next council meeting is June 26th.
Yeah.
The other comment I would say, we've already had conversations with them that if the council would not approve this tonight, then the fee would not go into effect till August 1st. So, I mean, if the council's uncomfortable, they know that there's that possibility it may be delayed a month.
Personally, I'd rather have everything in place before we approve it, just so we know everything.
That's
Have a
fine.
good
That's
contract.
fine.
Yeah, it makes more sense to, instead of botching it together. I think had someone had been here, we probably could have asked them, but.
So if we table it, we don't need a motion at all?
Probably a motion to postpone it to
Motion,
the next,
yeah.
the next meeting.
Motion table.
That's fine, that's, makes sense.
At least we got clarification. No.
I-
Good.
I think this will be very quick and easy.
I do too.
We just gotta get it done.
I'll make the motion to table it for now.
I'll second it.
Okay.
There's a motion and a second. Cox?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Jerks?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Bates? Yes. Fleshner?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. Our first resolution this evening is the Downtown Streetscape Phase 8 project. And Randy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On June 6th, bids for the construction of the Downtown Streetscape Phase 8 project were received, open and tabulated. One bid was received from Bating Construction Company in the amount of $1,294,844.41. That bid is below the architect's estimate that was previously adopted of $1,300,000 approximately. Based on that bid, the current total project cost would be, that would be including design and construction services, and the construction contract would be $1,421,980.41. That is within reason of the budget number that was used in your current budget. So unless there are any questions, I'd recommend approval of the contract to Bating Construction for the Downtown Streetscape Phase 8 project at their bid price.
When will they start this?
We have not had
No setup date yet.
any conversations with them yet. We will once the contract's approved. And
Okay.
try to get a schedule on
Is it common that we're only getting one bid?
that. We only got one bid on Phase 7 2 years ago. We had gotten a couple of the projects more than one bid, but recently, no, we haven't. And we had invited a couple of other contractors, and they did not show an interest in it. So they were directly contacted.
Randy, why do you think it is that we have only one contractor bidding at this point?
Well, yeah, I don't know for sure, but I can surmise that what has happened, we had a couple of contractors in town that were capable of projects this size, you know, being bonded, public construction, and that. And those are requirements that are necessary. One of them does not do a lot of work anymore, so we've kind of lost that contractor as a bidder. We did try, I asked Confluence to contact some of the contractors they work with on a regular basis in other areas and see if they would be interested in at least a competitive bidding. And they were not interested in mobilizing to Carroll. So that's, you know, the result is we have one contractor, and we've been well satisfied with that contractor, and their pricing, actually, this pricing is below the engineer's estimate. Actually, in Phase 7, the price was below the engineer's estimate, just, you know, by a few percentage points. But so it's reasonable pricing for one contractor, although it's frustrating we can't get competitive bids, obviously.
I think anybody that'd be out of town, there's gonna be that added expense of hauling all of their equipment down here, which would increase their bid too.
I'm always glad to have it be local, it's just,
Right.
there is no competition.
And I think you have the one other competing contracting business that just doesn't have the, probably just the ability to continue to do this. It's been here for a long time and no succession plan to overtake the business, so.
I kind of figured there might be mention of some, it seems like the construction industry is more active now with different projects, and I thought that might play into it as well.
It could. There's a lot of work out there, you know, in public work, public contracting. And a lot of contractors get full, and that might be, you know, part of the reason we can't, another reason that we can't attract a competitive bid from outside the city. But, you know, all those are factors that you never know what is really influencing it. But I guess the bottom line is, you know, we've got a price that's reasonable, and we have a good contractor, and we're really happy with the streetscape project to date that's been done. And so under those conditions, it's a pretty good deal. If those conditions change, you know, I don't know what we'll do, but we expect that it will be a good project for the city.
As would I.
Any other questions for Randy? If not, I'll need a motion to approve the resolution awarding the contract for the Downtown Streetscape Phase 8 project to Beatty Construction Company at their bid price of $1,294,844.41.
So moved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Base?
Yes.
Fleschner?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Cox?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. In addition to that, we also will need to review the construction phase service agreements with regards to the Downtown Streetscape Phase 8 project. And Randy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our November 14 design services agreement with Confluence did not include construction services. We knew at the time that we would need some. Well, The day-to-day inspection will be performed by city personnel. We do contract with the designer to do a periodic inspection of the work. And we've done that through all the projects, and it's been pretty successful for us, so that we can coordinate the design with the construction. So we'd requested a limited services proposal from Confluence, which they have provided. And the services included our review of the submittals, attendance at construction meetings, which are also periodic inspection times, electrical review, and then preparation of the final punch list. Fees included are on an hourly basis with a not-to-exceed number of $25,196. So in total, with that included, the total fees to Confluence for this project would be $127,136. So since the contract has now been awarded, unless there are any questions, I'd recommend approval of the agreement with Confluence for limited services during construction.
Have we had them in the past as well?
Yes, we have.
Have they ever found anything?
Yes, they do. We rely on them for answers to some questions, all during construction, by telephone and email. They provide a good service, and of course with the review of submittals, a lot of these submittals are not exactly civil engineering, they're landscape architecture, and then the electrical. So we count on them to make that review and approval for us.
Any other questions for Randy? If not, I'll need a motion to approve the resolution, to approve an agreement for limited professional services with Confluence for the Corridor of Commerce Downtown Streetscape Phase 8 project.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Cox?
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Jerks?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Space?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. The second resolution this evening is the audit bids for fiscal year 2017 through 2019. And Laura.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As of the end of June 30th, 2016, we had finished a contract for a 3-year time period for our annual audit, and we had requested to receive bids from 8 firms for the next 3 years for fiscal years 2017, 2019. And we received 2 proposals. They are listed in your memorandum. Feldman and Company from Carroll and a firm out of Des Moines. As you can see, the dollar amounts, Feldman and Company, the local firm. They have been doing our our audit for a number of years now, actually since 1985. So they're very familiar with the city's finances. And their fee is very comparable from what we currently had been paying and when we ended with our fiscal 16 audit. I would ask council if there are any questions to approve the resolution approving the contract with Feldman and Company for the city's audit for the next 3 fiscal years.
Laura, are these audits required, or are they just a matter of good housekeeping?
For us, the population size that we are, they are required every year.
Keeps Laura from getting her fingers in the cookie jar, too, or being accused of it.
Being accused.
Yeah.
They've been doing a great job for us. Everything I've seen from them is fantastic.
It's fairly well detailed, the report that they give to us.
Yeah, I would move that we approve the resolution for the contract with Feldman and Company CPA PC to perform the annual audit for fiscal years 2017 to 2019 at an annual fee of $13,500 for fiscal year 2017, $14,000 for fiscal year 2018, and $14,500 for fiscal year 2019.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Haley?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Base?
Yes.
Cots?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Jerks?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
And since they're the ones who always hold us to the fire and do a good job, Laura, would you let them know that we made sure to have their numbers in their motion to
Yes.
approve? All right, thanks.
Thank you. Our third resolution is the annual property and liability insurance renewal. And Laura.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is the time of year that we always review our annual insurance. First off, we are proposing to continue coverage with the same companies that we've been working with in the past. If you look at your premium sheet comparison, that is the last page of the memo, or the information provided. We currently have coverage for our general liability autos and property with what's called Iowa Community Assurance Pool, or ICAP. As you can see from fiscal year 17 to fiscal year 18, there's actually a decrease in both of the categories of the general liability section as well as the property. General liability, the main reason for the decrease in that is the ICAP board had approved an increase in our members' distribution credit. Now that number will change most likely from year to year. It's never a guarantee that we would get some type of a credit. It just past history has been such that we have been receiving a credit. And that has largely to do with how well the pool is running. So the pool, as we can see in the past years, has been running very well, and we've been fortunate enough that the board has decided to give credits back to the members. The property insurance, a big kudos in this area with a decrease in the amount of the premium is that we had a review of our major city buildings this last year. Outside, ICAP decided to contract with an outside company to review all city buildings. I should say all, the major ones. Some of the smaller ones they didn't review. But they did adjust a number of them, some up, some down, but probably mostly up. As you can see in the memo, the buildings overall increased 21.7 million. And our premiums still went down. That has to do with, the main reason is the fire protection classification within the city has been amended from a 6 to a 4, so big kudos to our fire department and efforts that they're doing here, that we're able to get a better rating there, and that did impact largely our ICAP premium for our property coverage. Worker compensation went down slightly, and that has a lot to do with, if you'll recall that worker comp, we're working with a company called Iowa Municipal Workers' Compensation Association, or IMWCA as we typically call it, is a component of the wages, estimated wages, as well as a rate. The rates are actually set by like a national company that IMWCA adopts, and then they can make adjustments and give discounts from that, which we did get bigger discounts this year, as well as our mod factor has stayed the same from last year, from a 0.7 from last year to a 0.7 this year. So basically that's saying we have very good claims history, meaning not very many claims, not very severe, and we're getting a 30% discount by having that mod at a 0.7. Plus we got some additional discounts that IMWCA just gave for good history and being a longtime member of the organization. And then we do have airport liability coverage through ZISCA's, through a company called Phoenix Aviation, and that is no change from last year. So overall, what we have here presented is about a $29,000 decrease from last year, and this is well within what we have budgeted for fiscal 18 of just over $301,000. If there's technical questions, we do have Terry Axman here from Mid-Iowa. Could we work with them for our insurance coverage? But other than that, I would recommend that we approve renewing our insurance with the same companies we've been working with.
How often does it come up for renewal?
Annually.
It's just annual.
I'd move that we approve the resolution for the contracts for property liability and workers' compensation and insurance coverage, which includes payment of premiums on July 1st, 2017.
Second.
There is a motion and a second. Cots?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Base?
Yes.
Fleshner?
Yes.
Yes.
Haley?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
Thank you. Finally, we are at reports and the monument sign project, US 30 East entrance sign. And Randy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Following your last review of the US 30 East monument signs, we did go back to Confluence and ask them to incorporate the comments that you had made during that meeting. They have prepared and have attached some renderings of what that sign may look like with those comments. I think in general, the comments were to look at a larger monument. This one is a nominal 7 by 18 feet. And then the other was reading Carroll ascending or descending. And Confluence also changed the lettering color on it for your review. Included both black and red. And then eliminated everything except the rock structure veneer on the structure, or fieldstone, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. So they have included those for your review, and I guess at this point it's a matter of that further review and selection and proceeding to construction drawings.
The price of the fieldstone, is that included in that bid? I didn't grab it right now. Is that?
Yes.
Okay. If we had that donated, that could be decreased from the price.
There would probably be some decrease. I think that their square foot price for fieldstone in the actual architect's estimate includes the installation of it. So to take it all out, probably not. To take some out, probably so.
Because I've discussed it with someone, and I do know some places we can get the stone provided if that's where we went.
I see. Okay.
So,
I have an individual that contacted me and said, we send someone out to pick them up, we can have all we want. So,
right, so.
he's probably the same guy.
Sure.
Carroll, you gotta go get the rock.
What's
I've
that?
done it before.
Well, yeah. I think he said
I've
council
picked up
people were
field
supposed to
roads.
come get it, but.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think we could probably get that at a fairly nominal cost, but. I haven't had any, go ahead, Jerry.
I think you're going to say you may not have had any problems with this, or have you had any input? I have.
The only thing that I have was I had one individual had written about with regards to horizontal versus vertical. I understood the vertical, but I think the comment about the whole thing that struck me the most out of both of the ones that I've gotten is the one that likes the vertical would like to see Carroll from top to bottom instead of bottom to top. So I read from bottom to top. I don't know why, but I could live with just the way it sticks out so well with the red. I think top to bottom, but it's not up to me. So, but I'll put my input in. And Jerry, I know you've gotten some.
I've had a different input with. I've had considerable objections to the verticality versus horizontal presentation. Enough so that I'm not comfortable with the current design. I've had some fairly descriptive explanations as to why they don't want this, but the bottom line is that I've had absolutely, I'll be honest, no one has come and said that they like a vertical sign.
Well,
And because of that, and I've got plenty of people that are comfortable with horizontal, I personally like this monument look, but there's no way to make a monument and make it horizontal. And if we represent the people that contact us, and I understand if you've got some people that are in favor of this, but I've had no one. So I don't think I can support at this time a vertical sign, no matter which direction it went.
well, and you look at the prices, I went back to our April 10th meeting, and I've had people tell me they preferred the horizontal. Whatever we decide, I personally, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, I guess, but you look at the options A and B, they're like 14 feet versus the 18 feet, but horizontal for like 13, I mean, the most expensive option B alternate is 28,000.
Well,
You
I
know,
think
and
we-
it's hard to justify the money for something, I don't know, for me anyway. I just think the horizontal is more visible. They're going about 50 miles an hour, 4-lane road.
That's the comments I've gotten, just
That's what
similar to
I've
that.
heard, and I
Um,
tend to agree,
I-
but,
When we started this vertical discussion, if I recall, we thought this would be more noticeable and stand out as being different and easier seen, but that's not what people think, and I think I have to say that if that many people are uncomfortable with it, I don't think it's the time to use that type of sign.
I think from just a few people talked to me, maybe 3, 4. From what I heard, it wasn't so much the structure as the lettering. You know, they said, couldn't you do it kind of diagonally, or, you know, I look at it and I want to knock them over and make them horizontal, but the fieldstone is beautiful, so,
I think the fieldstone's great.
yeah.
Can they not just do CARROLL?
I thought about that, but then there goes the logo. Like,
Yeah.
Mike has
It
the pin
is
on there, and there's no way to connect it right, and have it look like
Someone
it.
said that to me, but just putting the
Yeah.
letter CARROL.
You can still make it in that font and that color. It just won't be in that wave.
With the line underneath.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm
Feedback
kinda-
I've gotten is it's unique to Carroll, I've gotten positive feedback, so.
Yeah.
I have too, and I like the vertical sign, bottom to top, but to Jerry's point,
See, I like the bottom to top too.
you know, what our constituents want is what's important, and I think this has been a really cool process to go through. You know, we all took the time and looked at the mock-ups and checked it out, and we got some very good feedback from our public. And I'm open to discussion on horizontal. I like that vertical for the obelisk sticking up and catching your attention on the ground. I think I've been looking at the small one we got out there not too long, and now I know it's there. I can force myself to look at it, but it's so tough to see. Hopefully the new sign, be it vertical or horizontal, would be made of such scale it would stand out.
I know the day you guys put the mock-ups out there, I was standing in the shop, and it was just, it's bold. And I don't think people understand just how bold this is. It's not a small sign, it'll be easily identifiable.
I have a quick comment.
Go ahead, Laverne.
I've had a few people come back and forth on this. Yeah, I've had some people saying horizontal, but when I mentioned to them, like we talked about earlier, that everybody else in the state is horizontal and we want to be different, then they pretty well accepted that idea that, you know, we want to be first class and doing different things. The one thing that concerned me before is the original one was it around $13,000?
Yeah, that's right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so figuring it doubled, I figured, well, maybe 25 to 30,000, but coming in at 44,000 scares me a little bit for a project like this. But my one concern that Randy probably should be able to answer is, if we do not go forward with this, we've lost all the revenue that we spent with Confluence on this, and if we try to start it up again at a later date, then we got to start all that over again. Is
Yeah,
that
I think you're right. I mean, Confluence has just been paid pretty much for the work that they performed. And if you stop the work now, you just paid them for their time to create this much. If you start in again, if you want to use this plan, you know, you're that much farther ahead. A different plan, you probably would pay additional hourly costs for their rendering work on it. And a part of
I
what,
guess my feeling is, I know 44,000 is a lot of money. I hate to lose the architect, money we spent already to try and do another new design or everything, I wouldn't mind trying to go forward with one sign, you know, instead of making a commitment on all four and you know, take a look at it. I just worry about spending more money on architect fees to change it all again.
I think the plan was to just do the one at this point.
Right, just to do our plan was just to do the one on the east side
Right.
anyway, so, yeah. But you've already got the plans in place that if you want to do one on the west side in another year or two, we've already got it outlined, the cost of it, but we don't have to go through the architectural rendering of it again. Because you don't already have
We
that
already have a
plans.
vertical and a horizontal concept, and
Yeah, we have.
no one objects to
three
either one.
options.
If vertical was never thought of, never presented, did anyone have a problem with the sign that was horizontal that they presented to us?
They
So-
presented two different
Correct.
horizontal, yeah.
All right.
yeah.
Then there's no need to spend any more money to see a new horizontal sign if we went that direction. We already have it.
Well, maybe my question, just before that, I'm sorry, Jerry, if you did this same sign that we got here in this size, and you went horizontal, would the cost probably be about the same?
It
At
would
7 foot
probably
high?
be similar.
Similar anyway.
Because the cost is based on, you know, quantities of concrete
Concrete.
and quantities of rock placed and all that stuff, so, and that's probably why this one is quite a bit more more than double of the smaller one, because you kind of doubled the width and doubled the height, so you added quite a bit of surface
No.
area.
I'm not surprised it
There-
went more than
it-
double, because it's the surface area. It's more than double, but the surface area is far more than double. Just, right.
Don't you think though, if you went
It's
horizontal,
about
just the
14
footings alone
3
are
feet,
are
yeah,
going to
14.4.
bump that cost up
This
quite a
is-
bit?
There would be some additional cost
Is
in
that
putting
six?
I think 6'4", isn't it?
So this would
6'4",
probably be the less
yeah, it's
expensive of the
6 by
two,
14.
if you go with a vertical versus horizontal.
It's 4,
and-
7,
As I think no matter what it comes down to, I
7,
think
and then
ultimately, this is gonna be
7,
somewhere in the
and
size of the
this
neighborhood
is
where we wanna
about
be,
this 14.
instead of what we
They're
currently
similar.
have out there.
they're close,
I don't think even with that smaller vertical sign, when we had the discussion and the viewing out there, even if I were to tip that smaller one horizontal, I don't think you're gaining much more than what you've already got for that much more increase of a price.
You're getting about 4 feet less if you go horizontal.
Horizontal.
It's about 14 and a half feet by 6 and a half, 6'4", yeah. So,
That's
But-
just on the
Adjust for
previous
depth.
round, so they're stating,
That's
Carolyn, that if we
without the
took our big
field
one and
stone.
tipped it on the side
Yeah.
a little bit too.
yeah.
And that, you know, that might be the only issue I see with going with the currently proposed horizontal signs, is that if their scale is somewhat similar to what we have on the first proposed vertical sign, then we're back to another small sign, and I promise I don't want to pay $15,000 for a sign that we can't see again.
I don't want to be back in the same route that we were in.
Yeah, I want it big enough that we can see it.
I know personally, I'm excited about this one, and, you know, we've talked about this for quite a while now, since I've been on council, and, you know, we're close to making a decision, and I said the feedback I've gotten has been positive.
That's the only positive versus negative feedback that I've got. The one that gave me the positive feedback on the vertical sign, just wanted to see at the top, not at the bottom. And, you know, when I go past the business here in town, that's how it is. They read from top to bottom on some of those signs that are in town, so, I don't know, maybe my brain's backwards.
If it is, mine's backwards with you, because the bottom to the top does.
I sit there and stare at it, and it kind of grows on me after a while, so.
Which one?
The Carroll red one with top to bottom.
Top to bottom?
Yeah.
I disagree. I like the red one, bottom to top. We can go around and round all day, I'm afraid.
Well, as I said,
Randy, is
we're
this
gonna have
backlit,
so many
the
different
latest
opinions.
44,000, is this
I think we need to make a
backlit
decision
like
to
the
move
smaller
forward.
one was? For the
Yes.
44,000?
Yes.
That includes the lighting and all that.
And you can have a choice of lighting. Backlit is the original proposal.
Right.
Or front lit is an
Okay,
alternative.
yeah, yeah.
They'd both be about the same.
Okay.
How long did we decide this sign would last, Randy?
till someone runs
We're
into
gonna all be
That'd be a
gone.
tough
Probably
one.
until the
That'd be a
logo's
tough one.
changed.
What's that, Randy?
Probably until the logo is changed.
Well, the logo's changed, yeah. I think we're gonna have a pretty robust sign that's gonna last a long time, too.
I haven't received any feedback myself, but I'm excited about it too. So
Yeah,
I like that.
I have not had the negative feedback either. Jerry must have been on the mass email for the.
certainly was.
They must have been the same.
I have another question.
Yes, go ahead, Laverne.
The removal of the trees, and we have to replant, who's doing that?
That'd be a city cost.
Okay.
There aren't any trees in
We were
front of the
gonna
sign
get you
right
a
now.
shovel, Laverne.
In front of the sign?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's
Just
a,
off a little ways
It's
to
not that
the,
big a deal.
to the east, there was a
Because I
couple.
see it
Yeah.
clearly, I didn't.
so there's a few trees that we'd probably want to remove as part of this project. Now, they were installed as part of a grant process through the Iowa DOT, and their requirement is we have to do 3-to-1. So every tree we remove, we have to plant 3 new trees.
In and around the area or
In, around the
Around the-
area.
okay.
So we'd still obviously leave it open so we can have better visibility, but there's a few trees we'd want to probably selectively remove.
Jack, you and you guys pretty good at moving trees nowadays?
Sure.
I thought so.
We can get in there. If we can get in there at the spade.
Now, if we transplant one of the trees, you don't destroy it, does that 3-to-1, no? Makes no difference?
Somewhere
Alright,
else.
so.
Still got two
more.
bonus.
And
And
my-
in my understanding, we just went through this on a sign just east of there. They can be located anywhere in the Highway 30 or 71 corridors project, so. But we have a similar project that we just finished up with, so.
Okay.
Is the idea that they're hoping for one of the 3 trees to survive? Is that why they want 3-to-1, or they just want more tree population? Anybody know?
We gotta do a little, incentive for the trees, you know, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna remove a tree, there's some consequences. You get has to put in. So we'll work on that.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Randy?
I'm just going to say one more thing, and that is, I think you'll find that using this vertical sign, there will be enough people that object to whichever direction you pick that you'll have to answer to that. We will have to answer to that. And a horizontal sign, there's no, it's universally accepted.
I disagree, just a little bit. I've had both ways, and once you explain to them the theory that we want to be totally different, they somewhat accept it. You know, it's not like a major building we're building here. It's a sign. It's not a
It's
life
there
or death
for as
thing.
long as a building. It'll be there a long time.
Yeah, it will be. You know, I thought about it quite a bit, but you know, it's a 50-50 thing for me, but I like the idea that we're totally different than what you see going down the road.
It's a progressivism.
Trendsetters.
I don't know, when you look at the versions where they show them lit, like the horizontal versus the vertical.
I think it's gonna
Again,
catch your
it's
eye.
probably your interpretation, I don't.
And what I'm looking at on paper will look completely different when you actually see it in real life, so. That's what So do you need a selection of vertical or?
It's, actually, it's
Horizontal?
entirely up to you if you want to proceed with it.
I would like to see us move forward with the vertical. And with
Here's the other thing. If we do this thing vertical and we have a lot of objection to it, then the other 3 we look at again instead of just doing vertical.
Yeah, but I think eventually you get to the point where you're so far along, then you kind of get that point of no return.
Okay.
Are we there? Getting close? Oh.
Well, you can read, I mean, not right
I
now.
mean, we can, you know, even if we let it out to bid, we can still reject the bids and not do anything too. Yeah.
I mean, and not to discount the people that contacted you, but it's one thing, everybody's more than willing to offer their opinion. Does that mean that they're not going to accept it? Does that mean that they're going to leave town? Does that mean whatever? I mean, I can tell you I like something, but that doesn't mean I'm so opposed to it that I'm just going to throw a fit. And I appreciate people's input, I really do. You know, and like I said, I don't mean to discount that, but it's, you know,
We always have approval.
as
and we
Laverne
have
said,
disapproval.
this isn't a huge undertaking. It's something we want to do for the town. It's something we want to do for recognition. We claim that we're on cutting edge. Let's prove it.
I think we'll have some very good local competitive companies come forward with some good bids on this sign too, no matter what iteration we do.
This is expensive compared to the horizontal, and I know
Yes.
this is fieldstone, but
It is, but I
It's
guarantee you, if you tip this on
for-
its side crown, it's going to cost
for
more.
I don't
You got a
think
bigger
they're
base
close
for
to
footage.
approaching what it costs to do the other two in the middle
Yeah.
of town.
That's what we have on the budget, 400,000 for it? 200,000?
What was the one down in the, do you remember?
Down by 7130?
No, no,
Downtown.
Yeah, that's the one I was-
I meant the one down in the parking lot.
Downtown.
Yeah, how much, I can't remember how much that
I
one was.
can't, off the top of my head.
20-something,
That's been there for,
the new one that we.
Yeah.
what did you say?
Yeah, the one we have on,
Yeah, I thought it was closer.
60,000 range?
Was it 60?
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
This is still a bargain compared to that. And this is gonna be a heck of a lot more eye-catching.
Are we ascending or descending?
Yeah. Oh.
It's off the road enough, it'll probably be about the same. I mean, it'll be eye-catching, I would agree, but
you know, I'm afraid if we go back to one of the vertical, or pardon me, horizontal iterations that we've had previously, it's gonna be too small again. I'd be more in favor of tipping the big one on its side, and then we're still gonna have the same basic cost, and
the biggest input, the biggest of all the people that talked to me said, at the speed we're going, how can you read
Yeah.
it sideways? Like
That's
this.
what I heard.
Instead of horizontal, you can see it. And I'm fine with, I like the idea of being different too, and maybe breaking the mold, but when you look around and you see, maybe there's nothing wrong with having a horizontal sign.
Councilman Fleischner, I assure you from your points tonight, you will be able to stand firmly at the pharmacy counter and say, I fought for the horizontal sign.
I did.
Nothing else. You're doing
And I don't have any more cardboard to make one more larger.
Yeah, we,
To the mayor's point, when you look at the banners hanging off the signs, you can read them, and regardless, it's reduced speed coming through town, but there's also a lot more activity that draws your attention. People aren't gonna have problems reading this. And I really don't think you're gonna have people stopping on the highway to read it and just to verify where they are.
maybe we could
I
get
have more
people,
frustration, I think, with the
We don't need a
stoplights.
maybe it'll upset and confuse so many people will get more attention for it.
Somebody's going to have to get over it.
If they
How
can
much
knock this
does
sign
this
over, I
weigh?
think they did really good at trying.
So,
Any other questions for Randy? Any other statements? If not, I'll look for a motion to continue. Do you want continuation, or do you want
Proceeding.
proceed to the continued development of a vertical sign for US 30
Your selection.
entrance?
We'll authorize the proceeding with it.
For construction document plans and specifications? Okay. I'll throw the motion out there then. Unless someone else wants to make a different one.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
There is a motion and a second. Haley,
Yes.
Fleischner,
No.
Yes.
Dirks, Seaman,
no.
Cots,
Yes.
Bays.
Yes.
4-2, motion is approved.
Thank you.
To clarify, is that reading up or reading down, or red or black?
I think we're on the bottom on red.
Bottom up.
The red with bottom, top to bottom.
I'm bottom up.
See, I like the bottom up.
Bottom up.
Bottom up?
You want a motion on that?
Okay, better have a motion to clarify.
I'll move that the lettering be red on the sign, reading from the bottom up.
Second?
We're making Laura shuffle now.
Okay, so red, bottom up.
Bottom to top. I think bottom to top sounds a little better, more professional than bottoms up.
No.
Okay, flush it over. Dirks.
Vern, you there?
Yeah.
Haley.
Yes.
Seaman.
No.
Cots.
Yes.
Base.
Yes.
4-2, motion is approved.
Thank you. All right, now that we beat that one. Thank you again. I trust everyone has read the committee reports. I don't really have any comments other than I thank everyone again for another wonderful meeting and lively discussion. Appreciate your attendance and any comments from the council? If not, I'll look for a motion. Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Do you want to talk about the water restrictions?
Oh, water restrictions are still in effect, so please refrain from your continued use of water. If you need any review on that, do we want to send something back out in the bills next month? Just to re-verify that the water restrictions are still in effect?
Yep.
Thank you, Mike. If not, then I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Base.
Yes.
Haley.
Yes.
Seaman.
Yes.
Dirks.
Yes.
Cots.
Yes.
Fleshner.
Yes.
We are adjourned.